Hello, welcome to this BW Legal World Dialogue. Today we are talking to a big personality, one of the biggest personality in the legal domain. And he jokingly says he's the biggest, but he is among the biggest legal eagles that we have. He's built a law firm from scratch. He's multifaceted in the real sense of multifaceted. In one life, he's done many things. Let me welcome Mr. Rajiv Luthra of Luthra and Luthra to this BW Legal World Dialogue. He doesn't really need an introduction to the business world or the legal world, but I'll also invite my senior editorial colleague, Ms. Ashima Hori, who's the managing editor of BW Legal World, to formally introduce Mr. Rajiv Luthra, after which we'll get into a tete-a-tete with Mr. Luthra. So welcome, Mr. Luthra. Ashima, all yours.
Thank you so much, Dr. Batra, and a very warm welcome, Mr. Luthra, to our show. Mr. Luthra, you are someone who has set sails alone and taken his firm from a single person to being one of India's preeminent top-tier law firms. Personally, you've articled under your father, and post his retirement, you went on to become the youngest ever registered article in the history of the Indian Institute of Chartered Accountants. You also have an adventure company called Ibex Expeditions. Wimpy's famous and first veg burger was also your brainchild. You were one of the founders of the Pro Kabaddi League. You're a director in the Pani Foundation and the founder of the law firm that was ranked, like I said, the number one globally in the year 2009. You were part of the iconic M&A transaction back when Coca-Cola bought Parley. Now, how does one person make all these things happen as a first-generation lawyer?
Thank you, Dr. Batra, and thank you, Shima, to have me on board. I'd be happy to chat. And I'm going to speak my mind. I have nothing, no script or anything. So let me start at the very beginning. The way Dr. Batra explained that I am the largest lawyer, that's only of my size, nothing else. And that is something that I've grown over the years and got there. So I'll start very quickly. My father was Indian Air Force, commissioned in 49, but was also a qualified chartered accountant after being a refugee in 47. He came to Delhi and he became a chartered accountant. But then being a good accountant, God bless his soul, he's passed away some years ago. He was getting 80 rupees per month more in the Air Force, so he joined the Air Force. And he served for 20 years. And I had lovely man. I had a wonderful fortune of learning from him. Of course, if he was around, he would say, "Don't blame me for what you are." But that aside, so I started, I was one of those very, very overconfident students. Everything I touched turned gold in my early days. At the age of 13 and a half, I went for the pre-Olympic trials, Munich Olympics 72. And this was in 71 for sailing. So, cricket captain, dramatics captain, debating captain, you name it. Everything, and always in the first top 3 in class. But this was only till my 8th standard, and I went to many schools all over India. Because dad was being transferred. I was in the Bal Bharati Air Force School on Lodi Road till my 7th standard. They shifted me to the Air Force Central School. In the middle, I went to St. Xavier's Jaipur. I went to a few other schools, St. Mary's in Chandigarh, St. Mary's in Pune, etc., etc., etc. Now, as things were to happen, my principal was Mr. Hari Dang, and he chose me as the principal's choice for the Science Talent Search as a direct entry without taking the entrance exam. So again, totally overconfident. We used to have these Saturday tests in the Air Force School. And my first Saturday test, they would announce the top 3 in assembly and the last 10. My name came second last. Of course, being almost a born lawyer, I explained to my parents that this is because the teachers don't understand my handwriting. And that shock of being second last in class and being announced in the assembly really changed my life. Because I thought I'm everything will, I touch it and gold. So that's where my journey started in terms of getting corrected. I did very badly in my 9th grade. I did reasonable in my 10th and okay in my 11th. We used to have only 11 those years. But before my results, I still remember near Dholokma, I was taking a lift. I was all of the ripe old age of 15 years and about 8 months or less maybe. And my the results hadn't come out. And this gentleman who gave me a lift, I look much older than my age, said, why don't you become an agent to help me sell my product? He'd just come back from MIT in the US. And he was making what we all know so well now, the inverter. He'd started making them, and I used to live in Anand Niket those days. And I went to, a lot of the electricity would go off, so I knew all the shopkeepers in Vasant Vihar, etc. And I sold many, many of those inverters. And to my family, and everybody, encouraged me. And I made lots of money at that time as my commission. And I was not even 16 yet. So that's how the story started. And then I was lucky. I passed. Those days, there used to be an entrance exam for CA. I passed that exam. I was still in college first year. And I got registered as an article clerk in the Institute of Chartered Accountants. I think I would be the youngest. I haven't checked that. But at the age of 16 years and about 9 months, I was registered. Legally, I can't even contract. But I was registered. Whatever happened, that's history. And I started working in the CA firm. And I'm sorry for the chartered accountants listening to this or aspiring chartered accountants. And my younger brother, the gold medalist in the Asian Games in golf, is a chartered accountant practicing, runs his own firm. I find it the most boring activity any human can ever do, and that's auditing. And the reason was that after about 6 odd years of doing audit, I realized that all I was doing was checking what people are doing wrong. I'm adding no value. So I told Dad one day that ye to main nahi karunga at dinner. This is just, I can't, rest of my life just keep correcting people. You can do 10,000 things right and one wrong and you're caught. In the meantime, I had 2 other friends from my 9th grade onward, and we used to go trekking, mountaineering and all that together in our school days and later on. They were both failing their central service exams and the IS exams. I had a small income because of being an article and selling some inverters. So we decided, I said, why don't we make a small company where we can start, you can have a profession. So in 1979, I was the ripe old age of, I think, 21 or something. We registered a partnership called Ibex Expeditions, which was the first pure adventure travel company of India. And I'm happy to tell you all that today, it is in the top 100 adventure travel companies of the world as per National Geographic. Of course, when I then went on, became the first director of International Amusements Limited, which happened to own Apughar. And I was 22 or 23. I still remember Mr. Rajiv Gandhi's first official assignment as Prime Minister was to inaugurate Apughar. Thereon, I became a finance director of a company called Wimpy Hamburgers India Private Limited. And there, my style has always been, I go way beyond my call of duty. So let me cut it short. So many, many, many things I did. I saw lots of the world. And then during all this time, I was also doing a lot of tax work. I was not a lawyer. And but I had rights of audience up to the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. and did many, many interesting cases, some even not against, but where the Prime Minister of India at that time, Mrs. Gandhi, was very keen to make sure that this particular officer, who was a former Vice Chief of Air Staff, is penalized. I stood in front of him. I had a motorcycle and I won that case hands down. And it was not appealed to the High Court. And a number of other similar interesting ones I can talk about another time. Then I realized that I would win the cases or get good results, but they would always be appealed to the High Court. And I had no rights over it. I'm not running any lawyers down, but they had no idea of balance sheets or profit and loss accounts or IRRs, etc., which is crucial sometimes for tax practice. And they would be messing up my case. So at the age of 28 to 29, I decided to do my law. So I could get rights of audience in the Supreme Court and the High Court. I did my law, 89, I finished it. I started my law firm. I've never had a senior in real terms. Worked on my own, built this. I had a motorcycle and took a small space in Ashoka Estate, Barakappa Road. Because at that time, most lawyers had their offices at their homes. And I said, if I'm an officer of the court, I can't be breaking the law. So one of the first few offices of a lawyer in a proper commercial space was yours truly. And that's where my journey began as a lawyer. And wo kehte hain na, karwa banta gaya. And I was very fortunate. I started dealing with wonderful human beings. And a lot of them, I'm happy to tell you, are still there.